Welcome to Sleep and Learn English from Stories. Find a comfortable position, take a slow, gentle breath, and allow your shoulders to relax. As you listen, you don't need to understand every word. Just let the English flow naturally, like quiet music in the background. This story is calm, descriptive, and slow, perfect for relaxing your mind while improving your English. Tonight's story is called A Small Café at the Edge of the City. When you are ready, let us begin. At the very edge of the city, where the tall buildings slowly gave way to older houses and narrow streets, there was a small cafe. It stood on a quiet corner where few people passed, especially in the early morning and late evening. The cafe was not famous. It did not appear in travel guides, and tourists rarely found it. Yet, for those who did, it became unforgettable. The cafe had large windows that looked out onto the street. In the early hours of the day, soft light entered through those windows, touching the wooden tables and warming the pale green walls. The door opened with a gentle bell that made a sound like a quiet greeting. Inside, the air always smelled of fresh coffee, warm bread, and something sweet, often cinnamon or vanilla. The owner of the cafe was a woman named Clara. She was in her early 40s, though no one was ever quite sure. She moved slowly but confidently, as if she had all the time she needed. Clara had calm eyes and a gentle smile that made people feel welcome without asking questions. She had opened the cafe many years earlier, after deciding she wanted a quieter life, one where days moved at a slower, kinder pace. Every morning, Clara arrived before sunrise. She unlocked the door, turned on the soft yellow lights, and began her familiar routine. She ground the coffee beans by hand, listening to the steady sound they made. She baked fresh bread in a small oven behind the counter, and as it cooked, the cafe filled with warmth. The first customer of the day was almost always the same. His name was Henry. Henry was an older man with silver hair and a long coat that looked as though it had seen many winters. He arrived just after the cafe opened, quietly pushing the door and nodding to Clara. He always sat at the same table near the window, placed his hat carefully beside him, and ordered the same drink. "Black coffee," he said softly. "No sugar." Clara prepared it without asking. She placed the cup in front of him, and for a moment, they shared a peaceful silence. Henry liked that Clara never rushed him and never tried to fill the quiet with unnecessary words. Henry spent his mornings watching the street. He noticed small details: a cat crossing the road, a delivery truck stopping nearby, the slow movement of clouds above the buildings. Sometimes he wrote in a small notebook, his handwriting careful and neat. Other times he simply sat and listened to the sounds of the cafe. As the morning continued, more customers arrived. There was Lucy, a young woman who worked at a nearby bookstore. She came in during her break, ordering tea and reading a few pages of whatever novel she carried that day. She liked the cafe because it felt like a place outside of time. When she sat there, the noise of the city seemed far away. There was also Mark, a university student who often looked tired. He ordered strong coffee and sometimes stayed for hours, studying quietly with his headphones on, though no music played. He said the cafe helped him concentrate, even when he was not sure why. Clara watched them all with quiet attention. She believed that every person who entered the cafe carried a story, even if they never spoke it aloud. Her cafe, she felt, was a place where those stories could rest. In the afternoons, the cafe grew calmer. Sunlight shifted across the floor, and shadows moved slowly along the walls. Clara cleaned the counter, watered the small plants near the window, and prepared pastries for the evening. One afternoon, a new customer arrived. She was a woman in her late 20s, wearing a light blue coat and carrying a small suitcase. She hesitated at the door before entering, as if unsure whether she belonged there. When the bell rang, Clara looked up and smiled. "Welcome," Clara said gently. The woman smiled back, relieved. She ordered a cup of coffee and chose a table near the back. She placed the suitcase beside her chair and wrapped her hands around the warm cup as if she needed its comfort. Her name was Anna. Anna had just arrived in the city that morning. She had left her old life behind, her job, her apartment, and a long relationship that no longer felt right. She had no clear plan, only the hope that a new beginning was possible. She stayed in the cafe for a long time, watching the people around her. The quiet atmosphere made her feel safe. For the first time in weeks, her thoughts slowed down. When Clara passed by her table, Anna spoke. "This place is very peaceful," she said. Clara nodded. "That's what it's for." They shared a small smile and nothing more needed to be said. Over the following days, Anna returned again and again. She always brought her suitcase, though it remained closed. Sometimes she wrote in a notebook. Other times she simply stared out the window, thinking. Slowly, she began to talk more, with Clara, with Henry, with Lucy. She learned that Henry had once been a teacher, that Lucy dreamed of writing her own book, and that Mark hoped to travel after finishing his studies. The cafe became a quiet meeting point, a place where lives touched gently, without pressure. In the evenings, the cafe changed. The lights were dimmer, the air softer. Clara played calm music at a low volume. People spoke in low voices, and time seemed to slow even further. Outside, the city lights appeared one by one, like distant stars. One evening, as the cafe prepared to close, Anna stayed behind. "I think I'll stay in the city," she said to Clara. "At least for a while." Clara smiled. "Sometimes, a place chooses us before we choose it." Anna looked around the cafe, the wooden tables, the quiet windows, the warm light. For the first time since arriving, she felt certain. Months passed. The cafe remained at the edge of the city, unchanged and steady. Henry still came every morning. Lucy finished reading one book after another. Mark passed his exams. And Anna found a small apartment nearby and a job she enjoyed. Life continued, quietly and gently within those walls. The small cafe never became famous, and Clara preferred it that way. She believed that the best places did not need attention. They simply needed to exist. And at the edge of the city, where noise softened into silence, the cafe remained. A calm space where people could rest, think, and begin again. Thank you for listening to Sleep and Learn English from Stories. If you enjoyed this calm English story, you can listen again or explore more stories on the channel. Let the words stay with you as you rest, and allow your mind to relax. Good night, sleep well, and keep learning, naturally and peacefully.